Go ahead, Bill.
Okay. Next, Councilman Hamer, Alfred Avenue, you want to take a stab at this, and I'll support you on this.
Sure.
We'll talk about that.
Yes, we've been notified, I guess we weren't notified, but we found out that that Teaneck was preparing to approve a construction project along on Alfred Avenue at Decatur that would bring over 250 apartments or units, online in a busy corridor that absolutely had no apartment dwellings of that size. And the neighbors all around it were concerned. And, honestly, we all should be concerned that a project could be approved and, very little, if any, communication took place with in between municipalities, that there's absolutely going to be impact on everybody who lives in the immediate vicinity, everybody who travels along Route 4 and exits at Decatur. There will be impact. So we brought this up probably 2 months ago. The plans that and the whole presentation that was made to the planning board and then the city council was sent over to Mr. Bailey and Mr. Volcy to take a look at. But I do think it's important for us to begin taking action to protect the residents of Englewood, and certainly those people who are passing by, exiting Decatur, exiting Route 4 west at Decatur, just to make sure it's a dangerous intersection. People coming off of Route 4, there's very, very limited sight of the exit. There's a sign for Decatur that's still covered up with trees, and the request has been to prune that back, and it's still not happened. But people come off at a high rate of speed. There are accidents that take place with people coming off. The foliage is destroyed in that little island, right there where there's a bus stop at Decatur, right on Route 4. And as people turn off, they plow down trees, and and I think at one point people stopped replacing the trees because they were taken out so frequently. So that in and of itself is dangerous. All of that, even though that sliver belongs to the municipality of Teaneck, all of it, borders Englewood and impacts Englewood much more than it does any part of Teaneck. So whatever activity happens there affects. There are a couple of Teaneck residents who live along Decatur who get to witness and listen to the screeching and the infrequent but frequent enough car accidents that take place. And more times than not, Englewood's police probably are the police that respond to what takes place there. So the way things are being proposed, one of the entrances to the new building will be right at the corner of Alfred and Decatur. And there's a Teaneck resident who lives right across the street from them. She's got signs posted, no apartments. And she's also got signs posted about the other item that Teaneck approved, which is a cannabis facility further down Alfred Avenue that, I'll speak to in a minute. But this one, this apartment building may encroach on some sliver of Englewood territory. We've got to determine that. Mr. Volcy and Mr. Bailey would have to give us a definitive on that, but it will probably require, if that is the case, that we would have to approve some agreement to, seed access, or at least build a sidewalk along that strip. And, I'm of the mindset that we should do every single thing possible to avoid making it easy for people to negatively impact the residents of Englewood. So if that comes down to prohibiting parking, along Teaneck, Lafayette, Decatur, wherever it is that, we get, impacted, and whatever we can do to make it such that our residents are not negatively impacted, we need to do. There are also exits, or at least there's a gate that currently is being used. Truckers are parking on, and this is Teaneck property, but there's a gate right at the Teaneck end of one of those parking lots. Trucks are currently exiting. They idle on, on that strip of parking area that has been assigned to them. And I've got nothing at all against truckers making a living, but these are trucks that idle, right there near that little circle, near that little curve where Teaneck, runs into Lafayette. And from time to time, the owner will open up the gate, and those trucks rumble across and, come out either onto Lafayette and turn onto Teaneck, headed to Route 4, or, it just, there are a bunch of negatives that take place. So everything that we can do, we need to do. And I'm going to move on to, well, actually, Council President, if there's something you want to add to the apartment complex, then or
let me just add my one of the concerns is, once they start to do demolition and all these other types of activities, pile driving and all this, it will affect the residents of the city of Englewood. So we need to take action to prevent that in any kind of ways we can, because they're going to work, they're going to want to, and Councilman Hamer said, to park, but that demolition, the asbestos in those buildings or whatever kind of chemicals are in these buildings are going to impact that neighborhood. And we need to protect that neighborhood. We need to protect the quality of life in that neighborhood. And we need to take a stand, and we need to ask the borough, the township of Teaneck, how are you planning to protect and preserve so our people are not impacted by that? We haven't heard anything from them, as we know, right, to date. Maybe they've contacted other people. We don't know that, but we need to get some definitive answers around that whole project. And we need to be prepared as a municipality to respond to anything that we believe that's going to impact the residents over there in that neighborhood. So again, we have to be vigilant in what we're doing and really pay attention to this, because this thing could come up. As I understand it, they said they started cutting some trees, and it looks like all the trailers were out of there today. So I don't know whether this is the beginning of this project or what, but we need to pay attention. But we need to get some answers from the township of Teaneck about this project. So we need to know what we need to do as a municipality to protect our interests regarding that area.
So, yes, in addition to the points that you're raising, the properties that were sold as part of acquiring the land to make this purchase, one of them was a precious metals company, and I think it was Ledoux and Company, was located there, and there are potential issues with regard to hazardous materials on that site. It could very well be, and there have been plenty of stories of materials being buried, on site and paved over, with parking lots that almost all of us have heard of. There have been numerous cases of cancer, in the surrounding area, and it just needs to be investigated, because if something is buried there and is disturbed, and there's a fairly high water table anyway, and there may be leaching into that whole area beneath Denning Park, and the homes across the street from Denning. So all of that needs to be a concern. Also, Councilman Cobb mentioned pile driving. Whenever the demolition and the piles are being driven to build this new structure in a sort of high water table area, I think that's going to necessitate making sure that the residents are aware, and foundations are photographed and checked now, so that if there is some sort of damage from vibrations and construction, there will be an easier case made for people to seek damages. But there are a host of things that probably need to be looked at. Well, definitely need to be looked at, but a host of things that we need to figure out ways forward, so that as much protection as possible can be done. And it really is a bad neighborly policy to, and I'm saying that because I don't know if any communication was made to Englewood, but to have a project of this size, being stuck in a corner that has next to no impact on the municipality of Teaneck, and significant impact on potential impact on the city of Englewood, and next to no mention being made, if again, none that I've heard of. So that's a real concern. But there's another issue that's taking place a little bit further down Alfred Avenue, and that's the approval of a cannabis facility. Again, this is pocketed in a corner of Teaneck that has next to no impact on the municipality, and any negative impact, could easily come over to Englewood. One of the things that I hope can knock it out of the box, very quickly, is the location. It's that facility, or that property is probably located within 1,000 feet of Denning Park. And even though the state of New Jersey has approved the use of cannabis, the federal government hasn't. And if there's a statute that speaks to, that 1,000 feet boundary, then, whatever it takes for us to, explore that, and if it means a suit against Teaneck, then so be it. But whatever it takes to prevent that from happening, if that is the federal law. And I believe Mr. Bailey's looking into that as well. But and not the suit, but the fact of geography, the location of the two properties. But that notwithstanding, there are a host of other problems that get created from odors that may be attendant to this type of facility, from the potential criminal portion of whatever sales taking place, and however it's done. I don't know what the type of business is that's going to be there. I don't know what that cash flow looks like, but as it stands now, and until the federal government recognizes it, and those dollars can be deposited into banks, And unless all their transactions are done, by, wire transfer or, something which sounds unlikely, but there's a potential for, a very large amount of money to being held on site, and the proximity to Route 4 and Route 4 West makes that a perfect target area for someone to do something that could be criminal and attract a lot of attention. So all of that, I think needs to be explored, and, whatever we can do to minimize the negative impact on the city of Englewood, we need to explore and start working on. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hamer. So Mr. Bailey and Frantz, if you can get us some more recent information, that would be helpful for our next meeting, because it looks like they got some activity going on where they're trying to clean that place up over there. So does that mean that they're going to start to, demolition or something to that effect? We just want to make sure that we're able to act